Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Break free from the forces holding you back. Get the life you deserve. Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, decrease depression, and start living your full potential. Thousands have used Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory, an evidence-based behavioral health breakthrough with incredible life-changing results. Getting rid of past trauma, having fulfilling relationships, increasing earnings, and living their best life. Now, the Foojan app is available to everyone. The app is Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory in the palm of your hand. Download the Foojan app today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Voice podcast, a heartfelt chat with my beautiful guest and you, beautiful listeners and viewers. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist, an author, and the originator of the awareness integration theory. It's great to be with all of you today. In this episode, I'm so excited to chat with Winnie Chan Wang. She's a trauma-informed licensed acupuncturist, an intuitive healer, and a professor in acupuncture at Alhambra Medical University. Winnie is passionate about teaching people how to release the trauma from their bodies with traditional Chinese medicine and mindfulness meditations. She's got a beautiful voice also. She sings for us in this podcast, so don't go anywhere. You'll hear the singing at the end. Winnie recently found the Compassionate Transformation Community, a nonprofit dedicated to the mental wellness of youth and their parents. Through weekly donation-funded calls, Winnie works with attendees to bring integrative solution into their homes, offices, and classrooms, connecting participants with the resources to navigate the ups and the downs of life. Today, we're actually going to talk about her latest book, Honoring Darkness. Embrace shadow work to nourish and grow your power. And discussing transforming at your soul, heart, mind, energy, and body level. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm hoping that you will definitely enjoy this conversation. And as I said, she sings for us too. So subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel, connect with me through my website, foojanzeine.com, or any other social media. Share with me your thoughts, and I just love to hear from you. So without further ado, here's Winnie Chan Wang. Well, welcome to the show, Winnie Chan Wang. It is so nice to have you.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Foojan. I love all the work that you do, awareness integration. I can't wait.
Thank you. Well, you have a book out, Honoring Darkness. Embrace, let me show it to everybody. Honoring Darkness, embrace shadow work to nourish and grow your power. Hey, right up my alley. You got into shadow work. And first, let's even define what shadow work is from your perspective.
Sure. Shadow work is the process of willingly dive into the deepest, darkest part of your shadow. And I'm actually a professor in acupuncture. I have 4 science degrees. So I have 2 from MIT, computer science, finance. And then I have marketing from NYU. And finally, I have an Oriental medicine degree from Alhambra Medical University.
You're Superwoman.
So please know that everything I do really comes from nerdiness, right? I really am a very academic person. And so when I wrote the book, I really wanted to give the readers maximum value. What I find is I've had a lot of people come to me. You know, I specialize in releasing trauma from the body, right? And a lot of them, they've had traditional therapy for 20 years, or they've been on anxiety meds for 20 years, and they still haven't graduated. They still have anxiety. And, you know, of course, there's no shame in having talk therapies the rest of her life. In fact, please do. I love talk therapy now. Okay. And also there's also no shame on being on meds forever, but it really got me curious as to, is there a way where we can actually give up anxiety? And also, I'm a general doctor, so I've also had people come to me, for example, with breast cancer. And I have patients who get breast cancer for the 5th time, right? So they'll get chemo, I'll come back, chemo, come back, chemo, come back, chemo, come back. And so the nerd in me really wants to get to the bottom of the answer, right? Like, why do 2 people get breast cancer and chemotherapy and one person heals, but then the other person, it just keeps coming back? So with the nerdiness angle, and with this heart of really, I just want to help my patients heal in the fastest, cheapest, easiest fashion possible. That's why I wrote this book on shadow work, because I identified this 10 categories of shadow and have homework exercise at the end of every chapter. So it's almost like you can take this course. I do have a course, but even on your own, you can go through the book, go through the exercise, and you can have a comprehensive, let's just call it introduction to shadow work, because shadow work is like the rest of our lives, just like talk therapy. It's not like you read a book and you're done, but it lays a solid foundation, right? One example I like to give is wedding planning, okay? When I was planning my wedding, I bought a book with a comprehensive checklist, right? Because I don't want to forget I need to buy cake. I don't want to forget I need to buy flowers. So the purpose of the shadow workbook is to be like a Bible, where if you start from these 10 foundational shadows, you're going to get a really solid view on shadow work.
Well, you say very important factors where everything that obviously, we go through, we put it somehow, store it, and we, as a human being, we automatize stuff. So many of the things throughout the day, the traumas we've had, the experiences we had, the beliefs we have, they go into our subconscious and kind of like act out over there. And, we do things in automatic. And half of the times we don't know why we're doing it, because what we've at one point was conscious went into a subconscious, and now it's may not be necessarily at the tip of your fingers at every moment. So the evaluation of that, the awareness of that is very, very important. It's something that I also do in the awareness integration. And part of the shadow work is what we do in the integration part of it. And you're very accurate about why is it important to see maybe how some of our patterns keep coming up. And if we're not aware of, how it's happening, as you said, whether consciously or unconsciously, our body systems will even go through the same patterns, repeating, requiring, bringing some of the things that we thought as a behavioral system, we changed it, but our body goes back and brings it right back up again. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Exactly. And that's why I'm so passionate about going on so many mental health podcasts, is because we need the mind-body connection, right? So in traditional Chinese medicine, we have the 5 elements. So for example, anger is trapped in the liver, right? So you can say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. You can chant this as a mantra, which actually I did quite a lot of that after my divorce. But I really needed to go to somebody who can help me release the anger in my liver, right? Imagine you're not even aware that anger is trapped in the liver, which, by the way, liver in Chinese medicine is related to women's reproductive health and menstruation, right? So women that have chronic UTIs, and yeah, related oftentimes to breast cancer, ovarian cysts. So usually I get people from the patient side, right? People come to me and say, okay, I don't know why, Winnie, my menstruation is off. So I get it from the body level. And really what we need is a partnership between traditional Chinese medicine, herbs, acupuncture, and also talk therapists, because you need to have the talk therapy, the shadow work to overcome these blockages in the psyche. But you also need to go to somebody to do the work to move it out of your body, right? So I love coming here and talking about awareness integration.
I had one client who, after getting COVID, before having COVID, he had high levels of anxiety, and he had, kind of like minor amount of depression. After COVID, he had 6 months of panic attacks that he could, like 5, 6 panic attacks per day. And based on that, then he would go into hopelessness and a huge depression. So when I started seeing him after about 6 sessions of looking and checking all the psychological stuff, I actually did, recommend him to an acupuncturist. And within 3 or 4 sessions, all of them came down and calmed down. And I truly believe, I had high levels of allergies. Then I went to Western medicine and tried to clean up all of that. Nothing worked. Acupuncture worked for me and cleaned up all of my allergies. I work a lot with trauma and anxiety and depression and past traumas and all childhood traumas. And I do think that a lot of this, like you said, because these two, the mind, the emotions, and the body are interconnected, that they all impact each other. And although that you are, just like you said, you're cleaning up one element, then all of the other pieces are very important, because they've already stamped the body with some matters. And sometimes what I've noticed, Winnie, and share with me if that's also a case you've experienced, that sometimes I've looked at, even in my own world, that every angle of my life is beautiful. I've worked so much on that, but then suddenly these like bursts of emotions and crying spells comes up, and I'm like, I have no idea what's coming from. And it's like it's something from the body, or I've done like some work, and suddenly these bursts of just crying coming out as if like a muscle release or an organ release is happening through that type, which is, like you said, my body has stored something that it just needs to get out. And the ability to work on the both levels cleans up so well. But people get very confused because they're like, I have no idea what's going on with me. And I think it's so important for them to come to a space which looks at all of it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to give an analogy is, okay, let's say you have cavities. If you go to a dentist, they can take the cavities out. But if you keep eating chocolate and you don't brush your teeth, the cavities is going to come back, right? So that's kind of why I look at whether it's anxiety or cancer, whatever physical condition or emotional condition, it's like, one, do you even know that you are eating chocolate, and chocolate can cause, an environment to grow cavities? And 2 is, do you know how to brush teeth? So I think about a visit to an acupuncturist as teeth cleaning. Okay, somebody is physically cleaning your system, your energy. But then you need to do the shadow work and work with somebody like Dr. Foojan to give up that negative habit that is producing the environment that creates cavities, right? So when you do the shadow work, you discover what is the habit that I have that keeps me in this environment that creates problems for me. right? And that's why I create this 10-step system, because it's like, okay, if there's a checklist of 10 things you should look at, here are the 10 things that you should have a conversation with yourself.
Absolutely. So some of the, we talk a lot about the genetics and epigenetics. It's more like no matter what happens, what the environment you live in and the environment you keep creating for yourself brings up some of the illnesses or uncomfortablenesses and all of that. And the concept of knowing which habit is creating what for me and the ability to be able to change those habits, whether it's a thought process that I get into habit, I even get we get into emotional habits, I don't know if people know it or not, but if they really look at themselves, sometimes they have a habit of just waking up in the morning and start fighting in their head with somebody. Like they're fighting with somebody, the person is not there, there's no issues, but they'll come, or they'll just get in competition with somebody in their own head, and they're taking that space, that real estate space of time, to fight and produce anger in their own body. And sometimes they're not understand this is what you keep doing throughout the day for no reason, except that it's a habit that you've created. So you're talking about the person not only looking at what's going on as a symptomology, but look at the habits that they've created systematically in their life that they're keep producing the same results, that even if they go into a medical doctor and fix it or clean it up, it keeps showing up if they're not noticing how to change it.
Exactly. And that's why everybody should give this podcast a 5-star review and keep listening to this podcast. You know why? 80% of people don't even have awareness that they have a problem. Okay, so if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you actually want to gain awareness, right? And I actually think the statistics is only 4% of people are actively seeking solution. So if you are listening to this podcast, go ahead and give yourself a little pat in the back, because it means that you are actually doing really great work. And another thing I really want to emphasize is, spread this podcast to other people, because think about it. If you're the 4% of people who are actually aware and seeking the solution, the great majority of people actually live in the dark, right? They have a problem and they don't even know it, right? That's why we have mass shootings, right? That's why we have increase in suicides, homicide, especially since COVID, right? Currently, the percentage of teenage girls that have dark thoughts is 25%.
Yes.
That's why I started a nonprofit called Compassionate Transformation, because I got 2 teenage daughters and I don't want to take any chances. Like, I want to go out and find a loudspeaker, a microphone, and tell everybody, hey, you got to have awareness, listen to some mental health podcasts. We have a society that just wants the pain to go away, right? We have opioid addiction. We have so many people. Oh, and the number of people who went on antidepressants during COVID is just crazy. I really think that COVID did 2 things. Either people went deeper into anxiety and depression, or it was an opportunity for them to go inside and do a lot of work. So if you did a lot of work, good job. Now bring your friends along with you, like share this podcast with them.
Yes. You're talking about COVID. It was interesting because I got COVID last year and I had all of the vaccinations also. And I actually have COVID right now. I got it again last week. And one of the things that I was telling my husband was that last year when I got COVID, I went into this kind of like a sadness, depression, and I keep looking at different things, and and then I just sit and then suddenly start bursting into tears, and I can't figure out what it was. And this morning I was sharing with him because he put this beautiful music for me that I usually love, and it bursts with me with this lightness. And it was funny because the minute he put that, he says, "Look, I found our music again," and I put it. And I'm sitting there and this lightness shows up, and then with it, this kind of like just wanting to cry and grief came up. And I looked at him and I thought, I got this after COVID. This is my body having some reaction, which has nothing to do with the psychological state that I have or anything else, but it just my body is sharing something with me, and it's knowing what it's sharing with me, and it's going through something. But it can be freaky for people as they go. You know, when I have people who go through menopause and their body changes and their sadness or their different angles of their life, of their body and moods just show up. And part of it becomes like, I'm afraid because I don't know what it is.
Okay.
And I think your book is giving them the way to go systematically looking at different angles. Because I'm looking at your book and you talk about isolation, rejection, loneliness, grief, anger, holding grudges, hate, not listening, understanding of the other. So, the book that you have written is giving a lot of these angles for people to keep looking at. Everyone, honoring darkness, embrace shadow work to nourish and grow your power, by Winnie Chan Wang. So get this book. Go for it.
I just want to give you 5-star for your awareness. Oh my God, take a moment and clap hands for you. In traditional Chinese medicine, grief is stored in the lungs, right? So the number one organ that is impacted in COVID is lung, and you are so on point. Whenever it's like two people get exposure to COVID, but one person has severe symptom and one person has minor symptom or maybe even negative test, even though same exposure. It actually is your body showing you that there is still grief trapped in the lungs.
And I smoked from age 12 to almost 38.
Wow.
So my lungs are saying, enough.
Yeah. So I really want to congratulate you. I want to share one example with everyone. So I once had a lady came to me. She's had nasal allergy for 14 years. And I said, oh, what happened to you 14 years ago? She said, I was going through a divorce. I said, bingo. Are you ready to give up your nasal allergy for good? She said, yeah. I said, okay, so let's actually process the grief out of your lungs for good. And this is where I also dived into spiritual healing, because there is higher power that can literally melt the darkness away, right? So imagine if the sun shine on the ice cream melts, right? When you put butter on the sizzling pan, the butter melts. So imagine if there's a way to channel light into your lungs, and then the COVID goes away, or whatever other anxiety or physical symptom can go away. And, I think the first step really is awareness. And, thanks to all the great work that you've done, you were like really almost there. Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. Share a little bit about how you do the practice with the shadow work, the acupuncture, the light, the spiritual, the energy work. That it is a combination, as I hear, as you're working. Can you share a little bit of how you do this type of a combination?
Yeah. So remember, my first degree was in computer science, and I think of myself as a hacker. Mm-hmm. So in my journey as a doctor, I just thought, hey, the patient walks through the door and whatever gets the job done, I'm going to give it to my patient, right? So I studied acupuncture, I, dived into shadow work, and I also cultivated all this Buddhist, Taoist, Christian, yogic philosophy. I read so many Bible scripture, Tao Te Ching, all of these things, because I really wanted to search for the truth. And what I find is that the truth is a vibration. So when you're in the presence of the truth, all that is false will melt away. And actually, let's try this. I want to give your lungs some love. So if you will close your eyes, and if all the listeners out there, if they're not driving, go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to offer everyone a healing on whatever symptoms that they're having, if it's grief or anger, anxiety, loneliness. Connect to the fact that love is the only reality. And this love is like the sun melting the ice cream. It can remove all the darkness and all the pain from your body. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. You love me. You love me. You love me. You love me. Greatest love, unconditional love, melts all blockages, purifies my heart and soul. And then a moment of silence, allowing the integration of this greatest love, giving yourself permission to receive the greatest love at every level of your existence. Every organ, every muscle, tendon, bone, every cell, every DNA, RNA. Allow yourself to align with the greatest love. And if you feel a little bit shaking, just let yourself shake. Shaking is your nervous system way of releasing the trauma. And if you feel like crying or yawning, farting, burping, just let yourself release the blockage out of your body. How? Thank you. Love you, love you, love you.
Yes, and my body was like tingling and shaking, small shakes. It was just like, it's beautiful. I had this image of completely the sun coming and like filling my whole body with light. It was beautiful. You're a superwoman. You have a beautiful voice.
If you read my book, you can read about my childhood trauma, the rape, the divorce, the parental alienation. Man, I've been through it all. I've been through some really dark tunnels in my life. And I really think that trauma isn't a punishment, right? It isn't because I did something bad and therefore I deserve to have all these negative experiences. I actually believe that the greater the challenge, the greater the blessing, right? So it's the more difficulties I have overcome, the more light I can actually shine. So I really encourage everybody to get the book and do the shadow work so that you can come out on the other side and share your new awareness with your friends.
Absolutely. So everyone, get Honoring Darkness, Embrace Shadow Work to Nourish and Grow Your Power by Winnie Chang Wang. Winnie, where can people find you?
So my website and also social media is Mindful Healing Heart. It's very easy to remember because mindful healing starts from the heart, right? We talk about all this awareness integration. Awareness is experience in the heart, right? The heart is the receiver. I say this, the heart is like the email server. The text message come in, the text message go out, right? The heart is where we receive all this awareness and where the integration takes place.
The rest of the body and the mind. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So
Mindful Healing Heart.
mindfulhealingheart.com.
Yes.
Beautiful. Anything we haven't said that you need to say for everyone to hear?
I love you, and I'm really grateful to Dr. Foojan for having this amazing podcast. I don't know how many episodes you've been listening to, but she's absolutely amazing. And keep listening and share this podcast episode with all your friends.
Thank you so much, Winnie. It was a joy to have you. And thank you for this beautiful kind of healings that you gave us. And for all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And until next week, bye-bye.
Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, and decrease depression. Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory has helped thousands like you get incredible life-changing results. The Foojan app gives you her evidence-based treatment in the palm of your hand. Download today.